Hello, Tim from Fair Play Now on the 15th of December 2023. So, I'm going to be just talking about a few photos, very interesting photos in a minute, but I want to run something by you first before I do that. And this is particularly addressed to, I know there's quite a lot of people who watch this channel who really aren't great fans of Freemasons. I'll just put it like that and not go into it too much more than that. But I'd like to ask a question, and I'm not going to bother answering this question. I'm just going to put this out there and see what you guys think. But my question is it possible for there to be good Freemasons? Is it possible that there are Freemasons out there who are actually on our side, on the side of truth and freedom? Now, the reason I'm asking this question is because I attended this event a few weeks ago, and afterwards I was in a group of people. We were sort of chatting away, and one of them, I think to the surprise of some of the other people and myself, actually admitted that he was a Freemason. He was kind of perfectly open about it. He sort of didn't appear to be at all ashamed of it at all or anything like that. And he just said, yeah. But the thing is, he, in certain regards at least, he is on our side. Certainly as far as the climate stuff's concerned. In fact, he actually goes along and does talks and makes speeches calling out the whole climate nonsense, to the extent actually that he gets a lot of hate from it. He was telling us this story that, you know, because of his stance on climate change, he's had a few unpleasant things done to him, including having a load of maggots put through his letterbox. So he is calling out the climate scam, and he's kind of getting hate for it, and he's getting unpleasant things done to him. And so as far as that's concerned, and on a few other issues as well, I think a lot of the Lurgy stuff, a lot of the V stuff, he is kind of on our side. He did admit again to having a couple of the pokes. It doesn't sound like, from what he was saying, he was particularly happy about it. He said he had to do it for his job. But like I say, he didn't appear to be very happy about it. So an interesting one, don't you think? An interesting encounter. And what do you think, really? Is it possible for them to be on our side? And it certainly looked like this guy was in quite a few regards. Anyway, let's just go on to some pictures. One of my kind of freedom contacts sent me through a load of old photos, and really interesting, and there's 4 of them here which I'm just going to make a bit of commentary about. Now, this first one, called The Man That Refused to Give a Certain Salute in 1936, and if you look at the circled portion of this photo up in the right hand corner, you can see a man who's clearly standing there with his arms sort of clasped and refusing to do what everybody else is doing around him. And in fact, this picture became quite famous in the freedom movement a couple of years ago, because it was kind of very much reminiscent of what we who were refusing the thing were sort of going through. And just like this guy, it seemed that we were kind of totally alone in a sea of people who were just going out and getting a thing. And yet the likes of myself and many people who watch this channel were being defiant in the face of tyranny. So this guy in this photo became a little bit of a hero in the freedom movement once again, and it's a very interesting photo. And if you're ever in that situation again, or if we ever find ourselves in that situation again, I think we can get a lot of strength from this photo. Anyway, here's a scary one. This is a bunch of guys in 1932 who were painting the Eiffel Tower, as it says in the caption. And just take a look at them. Yeah, they're way up the Eiffel Tower. Looks like about a zillion feet above the ground. Even tall buildings are sort of, tiny little specks at the bottom there. And just look at these guys, sort of not a hard hat in sight, not a safety harness in sight or a rope in sight. If you zoom in on their footwear, they even look like ordinary shoes, not kind of proper work boots even, or sort of steel toe capped boots or anything like that. And they're just wearing normal clothes really. A zillion feet up doing this this job. It's just crazy, isn't it, really? And yet this is what people were like kind of 100 years or best part of 100 years ago. People just got on and got up to these sort of places and did the work that was necessary. And and I'd argue that yes, things were done a lot more dangerously, but I would say that it probably took them about half the time to paint the Eiffel Tower in those days as it does now, because they didn't have to go through all of the endless health and safety stuff. And I do think it reflects an age, a bygone age, where people just believed in freedom and getting on with a job rather than endless safety. Were there more accidents? Yeah, undoubtedly. Were there more deaths? For sure, for certain. And whilst every death, of course, is a tragedy, the restriction of freedoms is, I would argue, even more of a tragedy. And I think what's happened in the last 4 years is we've seen a real distinction amongst people. We've got a certain group of people who value safety above everything else. They don't mind all of their freedoms being taken away as long as they're kept safe. And then there's a totally different group of people, which I subscribe to, where freedom is paramount and erosions of freedom and restrictions to freedom are absolutely intolerable, and it doesn't matter what the safety consequences are. I would rather have my freedom than my safety. And so that's the thoughts that came into my head when I was looking at this particular picture. So this next picture, which I'm about to show you, believe it or not, this lady was deemed to be very scantily clad, and kind of so much so that she was deemed to be sort of indecent, and therefore she was arrested for indecency in 1907, and this is what she was wearing. My oh my, times have certainly changed, haven't they? So a lot of people, a lot of women these days wear sort of a lot less than that, even to work in this day and age, don't they? And sort of lastly, basically we all know that keeping sort of children healthy is a good idea, and if you live in a block of flats, for instance, you might be concerned that your young baby, isn't getting enough healthy fresh air, enough sunlight. This is kind of a little solution that they used to use in 1937. I'm not suggesting you do this to your own child or grandchild, but it just goes to show that although the actual thing might be a little bit dodgy really, they had the attitude of all a child really needs to be healthy is plenty of sunlight and plenty of fresh air, and not endless amounts of certain things that go in there. And I don't know what the number is, but I believe that sort of babies under one, well, by the time a kid gets to 1 year old, they've already had a really ridiculously high number of the things, and it's even worse in the States as well. And I believe, especially in the States, that by the time you get to 18, you've had about, is it 70 or 80 of the things all through your school years, baby years and school years. Just absolutely crazy. And yet sort of kids in years gone by managed perfectly okay without any of the things. They managed to survive perfectly okay, even if some of them were dangled sort of many feet up in the air off of the sides of buildings in little cages like that. So again, just a few thoughts that come to mind with that photo. So anyway, there's a bit to ponder there, and let me know what you think in the comments section below, either about the what I've said about the photos, or indeed about the Freemasonry stuff. And I'll be back soon. Tim from Fair Play Now. Thanks for watching.